Hey, welcome to I Know a Guy Bicycles, hanging out with a guy. Hey, I'm Justin, the guy on this old bike. Check this out. I got 3 classic gems from past all 26-inch wheel, pretty much late 90s, early 2000 models. And I'm going to do the ultimate part swap switch out. That's going to be 2 frames for sale with refurbished suspension in addition to 1 complete bike ready to go. And unfortunately there was a dudder in this, but it has some good parts. Well, without further ado, let's dive into this part swap makeover and see what you do to make 1 bike out of 4, right? Nuts. In any case, we're going to talk about each individually of these bikes and how I'm going to have to still part swap and fix them up and where they're going to go. And from there, we hopefully will have some great gems for people to get themselves and go ride. Take a piece of the past with them and enjoy the ride after this. This is an overview video. I will have specific videos for each one of these projects individually with a story to tell and that therefore. But this particular part, I'm just going to do an overview of what needs to be done on each one of these in my head, and hopefully it comes to fruition at the end. Well, this bike unfortunately has a super dinger in the actual chainstay, which I picked away. Somebody put some Bondo on it. In any case, the shock is probably still good. Somebody probably really wants one of these because you can still get seal kits for these to redo them. This particular model had a couple other variations where they had rock shock, which they don't have seal kits for those today. So this might be a gem for somebody that's looking for the classic 26er. This one also has a massively cool Fox shock with, man, this is not a dime a dozen here. This also has a really cool suspension Fox shock. Works pretty well still. Also has a Chris King headset. This is going to go onto this blue bike behind me. Reason being is I'm kind of doing a part swap out, and I'm going to be selling that particular one as just frame and fork. So I'm going to rob this and rob the headset, and unfortunately the frame might be parted out. Somebody might need the front triangle. I know the rear carbon chainstays is not quite there and safe for me to let go. So if anybody needs parts, this is definitely a good bike to do that from. Rob Peter to pay Paul, right? So I got this frame, basically at the full bike, and I've upgraded the parts, and it's been hanging for the last 4 years. I thought I was going to get back into mountain biking. Not the case. Unfortunately, I just don't have time. And this is a beautiful bike and it needs to be ridden. So the fork on this is original Manitou, but this bad boy leaks and it's basically done. So therefore, I'm stealing the Fox shock and putting it and upgrading with a Chris King headset and selling just the frame and fork. I do have other aspirations for these parts. The wheels are going to go onto another bike. The crankset and the cassette rear derailleur are going to go onto my leisure roll bike. I'm going to upgrade the hell out of that one, so it's going to have disc brakes and 8-speed big and a 1x. I'll be the coolest kid on the block with a basically specialized roll. Anyway, not to toot my own horn, I want some nice stuff on that because I ride it all the time, and these have better places to go. The super classic man of steel himself, Keith Bontrager, Bontrager OR. This is a privateer. I believe these were still being made in Santa Cruz. As you can see the banner behind me, big Bontrager fan. I did pick up this bike. I kind of didn't want to buy it because it was pretty damn beat, but I think I can clean the frame and fork up to the point where it's going to be pretty nice for somebody to do a build out. In that case, I do have compressed shock here, but lo and behold, I have a backup fork. How's that even possible? Somehow this got gifted to me. In any case, the last run on this one is still good. I can't do a 1-for-1 switch. Well, one, this is threaded, so that's not going to work. Second, Keith Bontrager had these specifically made with a different rake direction on the actual crown. That's why they're black versus polished. So these are specifically designed for Bontrager frames. Yeah, you can go with a newer fork, ish. This is a 1-inch, so you're going to be kind of limited. But if you want to restore something classic and cool, oh, that one just popped out. It was in pieces. In any case, we're going to take two forks and make one, right? So this particular frame and fork is going to be ready for sale, hopefully soon, all cleaned up and inspected. It does have some dingers on it, but hey, it is a boo-boo scratched, has some stories to tell frame, and anybody who will have this bike will love it. Just ride a damn thing. But the other parts I need to steal off of this guy are the X-ray shifters. Yeah, Grip Shift back in the day had their upgraded 3x8 grip shift shifters, which they still work. We're going to do a little video specifically on just cleaning these bad boys up and how to like do them, because we had to sit through like a 2-hour clinic back in the 90s to figure out what the hell to do with the Snoopy nose and flip the cable a certain way. Yeah, I still have fucking nightmares. In any case, we're going to take these shifters and put them on. Well, not just yet. We also need to steal these LX brakes. So the frame and fork, I'm going to take the parts, and some I'm going to reuse and some are just going to go in my parts bin for a later purpose. But in this particular one, this is going to be an awesome frame for somebody for sure, with a redone Quad 21 fork. And bam, this is the bike that is going to be completely done. Does that make any sense? In any case, I'm going to take all the parts that I've been trickling through the other 3 bikes and going to build this one up. This one has an X-ray front, but some replacement 8-speed SRAM newer shifter. We're going to make that matchy-matchy. Those brakes, the LX brakes, we're going to go on this bike, which actually hits the exact same vintage. This is the Trek 970, which is one of the higher-end steel frames of the early 90s or mid-90s. This is also before V-brakes, so those cantilever brakes are going to fit just nicely. In addition to, it does have the original XT rear derailleur LX front, so it's all going to be almost vintage, as well as the seat. Crazy stuff. So sitting here and staring at 3 bikes and going, this goes here, this goes there, this goes here, this goes there. Yeah, it's going to be one kind of a massive train wreck of getting everything pulled apart and cleaned and put back together. But eventually we'll have 2 solid frame and forks for somebody to do their whatever they want to add to it. And then we're going to have this guy as retro rebuild, and it's going to be immaculate. The Klein paint job is going to be super beautiful. This one has this kind of it's a very thin paint, red apple kind of, I want to say clear coat-ish, but it is very beautiful in the sun. It does have some scarring on it, but I'm going to get it pretty close to what it is. And we're going to do some nice little vintage upkeeping on this. But in any case, it does have its 1 inch and 1/8, so it is upgradable if you want to go with that other fork, or you want to do a different stem combination. The bottom bracket as well is still standard, so you don't have any too weird. And in the rear, it is also an 8-speed, so you can do a 9-speed and 10-speed or even 11-speed upgrade if you wanted to do something crazy like this in this bike. That would be really cool to vintage this guy back out to its original state. And it'll be some excellent ride for somebody just to remember the glory days, or just get into riding for recreational. What the heck? So there's my prologue, prologue, whatever. Any case, we're looking at 4 bikes. I'm going to make 2 frame and forks, sell some parts off of the suspension, and have 1 complete bike after the whole rodeo that goes on here. This is what us bike mechanics do. When we have a hodgepodge of parts, we start putting things together. It's actually kind of fun for us to do things like this. There's several other channels that do this as well, so check them out. But hey, pretty cool stuff. So you gotta, basically, they are all from the Trek family. The Klein, this is actually acquired by Trek themselves back in the mid-90s, as well as Bontrager. And the other Klein was the newer iteration of the full suspension. They all have some stories to tell, so we're going to go through those individually at separate videos, but let's just crank some tunes, put on some gloves, start cleaning some stuff, and let's just start some part swaps. I will show you the full reveal of the 2 frame and forks that turned out, it maybe not, and the whole bike. maybe not. But in any case, we'll see what happens. But it's that's the adventure of a bike mechanic to doing some fun, cool stuff on this old bike. In any case, let's just take a review of what we're doing. Well, you guessed it, this gym is, woo, smoking hot. Considering how old it is, I've had to put a lot of, the good old elbow grease. So with my 35 years of experience of working on bikes, I think I was 23 when this was new. We did sell a couple of the 970s and the 90s at Parker Bikes, which we were a truck dealer and they were pretty sweet. I just really didn't understand the passion of steel frames because I was so drinking the Kool-Aid of the latest thing, which is bonded aluminum and carbon main tubes. Crazy. In any case, this does have the classic Truetemper chromoly, double butted, maybe triple butted with a little gusseting here for protection. Bontrager frames, you see one behind me, added gusseting underneath as well as the chainstays. So gusseting for steel frames was pretty common within the realm. The condition of this, not bad at all. I mean, it got some wear and use, but it cleaned up really well. The componentry, yeah, I overhauled the shifters. You'll check out a link below with a video on that. X-ray grip shift, gotta love it. And found some vintage, actually the same model year LX brake cantilevers. I just had to vet some new brake pads, which I did find on Amazon, LX models from Cool Stomp. So hey, check out the link below. If you have a pair of those and need new brake pads, it makes things stop well. In any case, did wax chain, 8-speed. I did find a XT cassette in my pile there because it didn't have one. So anyway, this does have a System 3 hub with a Swami, a matrix rim from Trek, both front and rear. The rear hub though is a Parallax, is it XT? Yeah, with the XT rear hub. The rims are not in the greatest shape, I do have to admit that, but they still are true enough to stop. Most likely you're going to be doing recreational dirt roads, maybe gravelish. You're not going to do the extremes like we do back in the day, or even today's standards. It's more of a recreational type bike. Or if you have a special place in your heart of having one of these, and vintage, definitely. Because the Sigoni crankset, which is kind of cool, compact back in the day. Bottom bracket was actually decent. Overhauled the headset, put fresh, actually I put fresh bearings in there because when I opened it up, the ball bearings just fell onto the floor. So this bike has essentially been completely overhauled, new cables in the housing. I put some protective tape on top here, protect that cabling from rubbing up against that. Even though it does have some scratches underneath there already, but it still keeps it clean. And it's black, you're not going to notice at all. Did upgrade or change the stem and bars to the Bontrager Race with some classic Bontrager bar ends that I have. So this is pretty much decked out with the Bontrager seat, C30, which is a nicer one. Magnesium or something, it wasn't titanium rail. But anyway, it has all the vintage updated parts. Control Tech Steep Post was the only black one I had for a 27.2. Although it does fit that match vintage, is also made in the United States, if you ever know Control Tech back in the day. In any case, not bad. Cleaned up well. Tires are all right. I mean, for what it is, right? Did get some new grips on there. They do sell those on Amazon for the grip shift shorties, so it feels a lot more appropriate for that kind of fitting technique. It is a 19.5 frame, which is stamped underneath. The crazy thing is, when I get on this to test ride, it feels small to me. I rode a 20-inch 19.5 back in the day, and I just, I just don't remember my butt being so high up in the air. But hey, that's what it was back then. You needed really like over the bars, like 2 to 4 inches. Crazy, right? In any case, beautiful bike, ready to go to someone that's going to enjoy riding it and polishing it up and put it back in the wall. It might be just one of those, like, I just have to have it because I had one back in the day. Absolutely. That's kind of why I put the extra time and the joy of putting this together and robbing parts from other bikes. This is the one that was the winner for the full completion. And Can't believe I got gold cable housing from Jaguar, so it's actually decent stuff, not some weird knockoff. And if you notice in the bar ends, I left them the plugs out because they have inserts on these for reinforcement for the bar ends. Crazy stuff. Because they used to crimp back in the day. I had a few that did, which is like pull it off. I'm like, oh, that's not great. In any case, I was kind of like, ooh, let's fix that, but putting an aluminum cylinder in there. Well, there we have it. On to the next project. But hey, this is part of the 3 project bikes. If you remember at the beginning, I actually had a Klein and a Bontrager and all sorts of parts. So I was able to make one completely vintaged up, and the other 2 are going to be put on sale. Yeah, that's one of those things. Got to burn them, return them, and those need to go find a new home, as well as this too. So hey, if you like vintage mountain bikes, these are actually in pretty good condition. And that Klein, super light. Anyway, hey, until next time, if you have something like this, similar, or what have you, please comment below. This is a community, so hey, we love talking about bikes here. And you know, just gotta believe in yourself to do it, right? Any case, if it's nice in your neck of the woods, please go for a ride. And thanks again for hanging out with me in the garage on this old bike. Until next time, have a wonderful day. Well, that concludes this episode of This Old Bike. Thank you for tuning in and watching through the final reveal of the perfect bike for you. Maybe, maybe not. But in any case, I hope you learned some things along the way in the journey of a bike mechanic refurbishing these particular beautiful gems of the past, which are very relevant of today. Thanks for tuning in, and you will find other videos like these. Go ahead and click here to enjoy more refurbished, detailed bikes that are from the past.